Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Hi everyone, welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Mac.
And I'm Zach.
And today we're going to be doing a first impression of the game, Riverside.
Yes, and this is a roll and write style game. I really liked the look of the cover. For some reason, it made me think of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Even though, I don't know, I've never seen Minnesota look that beautiful.
It's true. We don't have little houses on a frozen lake or mountains.
We just get really cold winter, dark winter. It's dark by 5 o'clock. We don't get the beautiful boat scenery and the northern lights and all this stuff necessarily. At least where we are.
Yeah.
It seems like. But I'm sure there are places where it's beautiful.
Potential.
But still makes me think of it makes me, I don't know, romanticize Minnesota a little bit. So I thought, you know what, a great way to, or a great game to get would be this one, so that when we are stuck inside in the winter, we can pretend outside it is this beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this one, you're going on kind of this river boat cruise maybe, and you're doing some excursions along the way, and yeah, it's one where you are rolling all these dice, and then there's a green one, and that always goes kind of above. It can be a die that you can use to add to your other dice values sometimes. Otherwise, you'll put the other one in order from lowest to highest values, and then find the median of those 5 dice, and then put anything above the median up on the top as well. And then you'll move the boat along this track, whatever the median amount was. Mm-hmm. And depending on where that boat lands, well, I guess first you'll get to choose one of the dice, and they're all different colors. Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Gone Shown Clever, where you get to pick a color and do a certain thing, because they've got the different colors are associated with different boats, and you are adding passengers to those boats, and it's based on whatever number you draft. And if you draft kind of some of those high ones, which will give you a lot of passengers, but then you'll have to exhaust your flames, and I think you have to like warm the people up because there's too many people outside or something. I don't remember what it was exactly in the rules, but
how they thematically tied it.
Right, but you only get so many of those flames to use in a game, so you have to kind of use them wisely. But you also want to make sure you do use them, because you can use them for some pretty large dice sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're lucky like us, if the median actually is the same as kind of those bigger dice, then you kind of have the option of all of them. So I think we had 2, maybe 3 times where we had 3 4s were the high, all tied for the highest. So we actually got to choose out of all the dice, outside of the green one. And you got to have a pretty high value. Yeah. But then the boat is kind of cruising along, because once the boat kind of goes around this whole track, once it gets to the end, the game's over. So you don't get any more turns. So kind of when it's cruising, you have better options, but you're also ending the game a little bit quicker.
True.
But yeah, once you've decided that, out of those passengers, then you can take those passengers for an excursion. And there's kind of these different ports, I would say, that are located somewhere close, well, along the shorelines, and you have to pick one of those excursion areas that's within 3 of where the boat stops. And then you can score that if you've, I don't know, you can try to explain it.
Yeah, so for example, one of them is you want to see polar bears. So the polar bear will give you, the polar bear itself on this stop would be like, you could see 9 polar bears, I think is essentially how maybe that's supposed to be.
Or it's 9 points of excitement seeing this polar bear,
exactly.
Do whatever it is. So
then you would take that 9 times however many rows of passengers that you've completed to complete tickets. And so if you have 2
in the white boat,
and because that's what's tied to the polar bears, and so if you have 2 rows that are full of passengers and it's 9, you do 2 times 9, you get 18 points for that polar bear trip. The trick with this though is that the next time you get to a polar bear, it might be worth 8 points, it might be worth 7 points, it might be worth 12 points. And you have to score, in order to score again on polar bears, you have to score higher than what your previous score was. So now if I score 18 points, I'm going to have to score higher than 18 in order to mark anything down, otherwise I can't do it. So you got to kind of be thinking, what does this river look like? Because it's not super easy to get higher than your previous score, usually.
Right, yeah, it's kind of a unique thing where it is, you get a big bunch of points and feel really good about it, but then you're like, well, how do I outdo that? And yeah, you either need to complete more of those rows of passengers, which each boat has 4 rows that you could potentially fill in. So the biggest multiplier you could have, I guess, is 4. There is a bonus thing that you can unlock that could make it 5, but most of the time, the highest you could do is a multiplier of 4 from the passenger, or the tickets that you've sold. So yeah, managing that, because you also don't know exactly how many turns you're going to get. You kind of can tell, once you start getting towards the end. But, all of a sudden you roll 3 5s or something, and a 1 and a 2 or something, and now that boat's moving 5 spaces, and you end the game without...
Yep.
So, yeah, I thought that was... I thought it felt pretty cool. At first when I was reading it, I was misreading it. I was thinking you were taking all the passengers you just gained and multiplying it by it. And I was like, that's a weird thing. But I think it made a lot more sense the way it was. And when you complete those rows, a row of passengers, you usually get some bonus that kind of allows you, like in Gancho and Clever,
cross out more
Hadrian's
of a different
Wall
color.
Or something, allows you to kind of go to another boat and cross
Chain
off something,
actions.
kind of chaining those things. So you could potentially, get 2 more, you could fill in your white row, get 2 more white, which fill in another white row, get you 2 blue or something. So I thought that was a lot of fun. I think it all came together pretty well. Our ending scores were yours were 290 something. I was at 300.
Apart,
Yeah, so high scoring game, which I always enjoy when they have those types of games. And then I thought another cool thing was kind of like in Gancho and Clever with the foxes. There is a piece where you get to pretty much score your lowest scoring area again, because at the end you'll get points based on each of those areas' excursions, and the tickets are certain amounts, or each row is worth a certain amount if you complete it. You'll add all those different areas up. I really like how that works. I think the only thing I don't love in a 2-player game is using that. There's kind of 2 scores you add together, and then whoever has the lowest in that area, in the lowest plus these other 2 things that you do, whoever gets the lowest gets minus 15 points, and whoever has the most gets plus 15. So in a 2-player game, if you don't tie, that's a 30-point difference, which feels pretty significant. Yeah. But I don't know. It was a difference maker.
Would have had you if it wasn't for that.
No. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it was really fun. I'm a sucker for bourbon right games, so when you were like, yeah, it's rolling right, I was like, tell me more. Right up my alley. And I love a good chaining event, and you're right, it does have, we're heading into the holiday season. It kind of does have this magical Christmas kind of feel to it, with the reindeer and polar bears and the snow and stuff. So I was kind of yeah, that's kind of not on theme, but on theme. So right. I would probably give this one, after one playthrough, probably an 8. Just because these things are really up my alley. They're so approachable, and it's so fun to try and chain things, to try and get things to work out well. And I think we have a lot of urban rights, but I think, it may be similar to some, it kind of is its own thing. And that's so unique about urban rights, is I don't think anyone is a carbon copy of a different one. There's enough difference, I think, in them. Sometimes it makes it interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, where it has some similarities, probably closest to Gons. I think it reminds me of That's So Clever, Gons Shown Clever. The most, still not quite that, but if you wanted Gons with a little bit more of a theme than rolling dice on a platter, I would definitely suggest this one, because I think it's kind of at the same level of... It's not it's not quite like a Hadrian's Wall. I don't think it's even close to that level. But yeah, it does unique things.
It's more like a Corinth, or a three, not really Three Sisters, but kind of Three Sisters.
Yeah, probably somewhere in there. Probably closer to Corinth. Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably come in with an 8 as well. I know some people aren't still in love with the roll and write genre, but I think for us, we tend to really continue to enjoy them, and I think this one's right up there with some of the better ones of them, and I would definitely recommend it if the theme speaks to you. It's just another fun little game. It says 15 to 25 minutes, and I think once you know how to play, you're probably going to get there, because it's not too long. Like I said, I think in the rule book it says roughly 8 to 11 rounds, so you're going to be rolling the dice about that many times. Typically, it all depends. You could, I guess, potentially roll really, really low or really, really high over and over and over, but statistically that's probably not going to happen most games. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in there, so you can go check out our unboxing video if you want to see the better look at the components and stuff. But yeah, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. But otherwise, we hope to see you on our other videos, and as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.